Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today we are going to be ranking all 103 Paldean Pokemon as you can see here. My criteria for ranking these guys isn't really anything specific, I'm just going to be ranking them how I feel about them, and you are free to make your own list. I will leave the link to this tier list in the description, and feel free to share with me what your thoughts on my list are. Alright, now kicking off the list we have none other than probably the fan favorite starter for this generation, Sprigatito, and I was not the biggest fan. However, I do think Sprigatito is a good design. I'm going to put that in a solid B. Next up, we have Florigato. I'm probably going to butcher a lot of these names throughout the video, by the way, just so we're all aware. Florigato, I don't think is bad because it is a middle stage evolution. And it looks very good for a middle stage evolution, so I'm also going to put that in B. Next up, we have Meowscarada. I don't know how to pronounce it. I like this cat a lot. A lot of people weren't too keen on it. I don't mind it one bit. I'm quite a big fan, actually. We're going to put it in the A tier. Next up, we have Fuecoco, and I like this derpy little alligator personally, so we are going to put him in a solid A tier. Next up, we have Crocolar, and it's kind of what you would expect from a middle stage evolution. It looks kind of goofy. I do like the little sombrero that it has on its head, which isn't actually a sombrero. It is a egg currently sitting in a nest, but I'm not too big of a fan on Crocolar. I think we are going to put that in a solid C tier. I don't want to be too harsh yet because I do have some ones that are really going to upset people. Finishing off the Fuecoco line, we have Skeledirge, and I love Skeledirge very much. It has the coolest unique move, Torch Song. It's probably going to be the best competitively as well, although Meowscarada's is pretty good as well. Skeledirge I'm going to put in the S tier. It wasn't big on me at first, but I grew to love Skeledirge, and I didn't even use it in my playthrough. Moving on to the Quaxly evolutionary line, Quaxly, he's got to be S tier, bro. Just look at that dapper Dan of a man. Quaxly I'll say it, the best water starter ever. The best water starter ever. Quaxly is the best. But then Game Freak decides to hit us with some absolute treachery, folks. What is this? What is this right here? Quaxwell? What is that? F. It's garbage. It's dog shit. It's terrible. And it gets even worse, folks. I chose Quaxly as my starter. I'm like, this is going to be the best duck ever. Because I didn't even look at the leaks, folks. I didn't look at the leaks. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I got Quaquavel, or Quaquavel. I don't fucking know how to pronounce its name. It's dog shit. Have you guys seen this thing while it's in a battle? It looks like a fucking dumbass. F tier. Absolute F tier. And I chose... it pains me to say it. Pains me to say it as a Quaxly believer. He was the most unpopular one going into the games. He was my favorite. And they fucking ruined him, folks. They ruined him. Next up, we have another fan favorite, folks, Lechonk. And I don't think he's not one of my favorites, but he's solid. He's a solid little goofy little Route 1 Pokemon. I'm going to give him an A tier. Next up, we have Oinkologne, male and female, and I don't hate these evolutions, but I don't like them either. I feel like they're a very good baseline, so I'm going to put both of them into the C tier. And next up, I don't know why there's two here, but we have Dunsparce, and I feel like they should have given him a little bit more of something. Should have given him a little bit more, but they just didn't. They just added a segment onto his body, and I feel like that's quite the injustice to Dunsparce. I'm putting Dunsparce at the new Gen 9 bug Pokemon, Tarantula. I don't hate it, however, it is not as cool as some of the others we've had. I'll say it. I don't hate it, but it's not the best, and I feel like that is a very fair C. I feel like that is a very fair C. And Spidops, I like, but again, not the best, not the worst, also going into the C tier. Next up, we have Nimble, and he is an immediate F, and I will tell you why, folks. I will tell you why. If you are a Nimble lover, I don't know many who are, but if you are, the only reason he is F tier is because when you are walking through the grass or you are riding through the grass on your legendary starter, you're going to run into 50 of these every half second. They are so tiny on the map. They are fucking minuscule, right? And you just drive on your legendary Pokemon. You can't see them. You just run into them, and then you're engaged in a battle for the next 15-20 seconds. Absolute time waster. Nimble, F tier. But here comes the redemption arc, folks. Here comes the redemption arc. The coolest bug type since Scizor. I'll say it. Coolest bug type since Scizor. Low kicks. Easy A. I'm not going to put it into the S tier. I might move that, but it is an easy A for me. Up next, folks, we have Rellor, and I'm not the biggest Rellor stan, Some of you might be, but he's just not for me. I'm putting him in the D tier. Next up, folks, we have Rabscat. And has anyone honestly ever gone out of their way to catch one of these things? I need to know. Has anyone ever been like, yeah, Rabscat is going on the team? D tier. It's not the worst thing ever, but no one likes it. D tier. Moving on, folks, we have none other than Greavard, and I about shit my pants when I saw this thing in the trailer, folks. It is amazing. Greavard is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 9. Greavard, easy S tier. The only complaint with Greavard here, folks, is that when you're wandering the Paldea region, it's kind of the same problem as... Where's the little fucker? Where is he? Nimble. It's the same problem with Nimble. These things sink themselves into the ground, and then the only thing you have to see them is a candle. So you're going to run into about 90 million of them on your journey through Paldea. And then, in my opinion, they absolutely destroyed this awesome Pokemon with Houndstone. Again, this is just my list. Just my list, folks. I'll redeem Houndstone a little bit. I'll put him in the D tier because he has a signature move that is fucking insane. Last Resorts. It gets stronger with the amount of Pokemon on your party that are dead. It's insane. It's an insanely strong move. But look at it. It's a hunchback. It's a hunchback dog that's dead. That's 2 negatives. Doesn't make a positive. D tier. Next up, we have Flittle, and Flittle going into the S tier. S tier. Yeah, that's what I meant. F tier. No, this little shithead is so annoying. You're always running into them in the Paldea region. It's not even a good design. It's just bad. F tier. However, it does get redeemed a little bit with Espartha. Or Espathra? Espartha? I don't know. It was on my team when I played the game. I'm giving Espathra a B. It's not great. It does hit like a goddamn truck, though, I'll tell you what. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. So I think that's a fair... Up next, I'm so glad that they're showing some of these Gen 2 Pokemon some love. We have Farigiraf, and I am not too partial on it, but I am a fan that it is getting love, so I will put Farigiraf at B tier. Next up, folks, we have none other than Wiglet, and this one I don't think was too popular within the Pokemon community, and I'm kind of on board with that. I'm giving it a D. I don't think it's a good baseline C Pokemon. I think it's a little bit less than that. I'm putting it at D. However, Wugtrio, I actually really like this Pokemon. It doesn't look as goofy as just the one singular strand coming out of the ground. It looks a little bit better with the rock, giving it some character there, you know. So I think we're going to put Wugtrio at A. Wugtrio at A. Moving on, we have Dondozo, and I hate this fucker. I absolutely hate Dondozo. Granted, it's a little bit biased. I'm sorry if you like Dondozo. If this is just a little bit biased, I'm sorry for that. But on my first playthrough of the game, I spent about an hour and a half trying to catch one of these things, and I couldn't catch it. Mainly because it was like level 54 and my party was about level 18. But still, I really wanted to fill out the Paldean Pokédex. I just couldn't catch this thing, so I'm giving it the F tier for wasting an hour and a half of my time. Now, Veluza, I think, is a very interesting Pokemon. I tried catching Dondozo and Veluza back-to-back, essentially, and I caught the Veluza within the first, 5 Pokeballs, I think, and the gym leader, I can't remember his name, Kofu or Koga? Koga? It wasn't Koga. I think it was Kofu. Always says Vaultin Veluza, and I think that is very interesting and very fun and cute of him, so it's going in the A tier for me. Next up, we have the Finneason line, and I absolutely adore everything that's going on here, folks. I love it all. It's the first dolphin Pokemon that we've ever had, I'm pretty sure. Quote, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is true. I think the concept of Finneason and then Palafin is very cool, how you have to play the multiplayer version of the game to actually get one. And then when you have one, look at this hero form. This thing is sick. I absolutely love everything going on here. Easy S tier. Smoliv. Now, this is just such a little guy. He's just such a little fella. He's good. He's a good little guy. I like him. He's okay. Me and Smoliv are cool. We're tight. We're chill like that. Doliv, I'm kind of in the same boat here. I'm not mad at it. I like what it's doing for the game. It's pretty cute little character. It is a solid middle evolution, and I feel like that's a fair deserving B. However, let's talk about Arboliva. It's amazing. Everything about it is good. It's got incredible stats. Absolutely incredible stats. Its design is fantastic. It's like literally a Pokemon evolving into a better form. Just look at it. Look at how amazing it is. You can't go wrong here. Easy S, come on. Now, one thing I'm not too fond of, as you folks will start seeing the further down the list we go, is that they kind of cut out the middle evolution for some of these Pokemon, and they only gave them one evolution, so it's kind of like a stage 0 and a stage 1. It's interesting. It's not for me, but here is one of the first instances of that. We have Capsakid. I don't really know what they're even trying to do here. It's a little plant that also looks like a bird. What are we doing here, folks? I mean, really, what are we doing here? That's an F tier. Come on. Scovillain, a little bit cooler. Still fairly underwhelming, but it's a little bit cooler. I'm putting in at D. Now we're getting into some good ones, though, folks. We have Tadbulb. Tadbulb is an A. Look at that cute little happy light bulb. You can't look at that and tell me that's not one of the cutest things you've ever seen in your life. And then Belly Bolt. This thing is awesome. Look at it. Look at how happy he is. He's just a happy little guy with his hands just sitting on his tummy like that. How can you not love it? S tier. Next up, folks, we have Varoom and Revavroom. And I like Revavroom more than I like Varoom. Revavroom played a very significant part in one of the storylines that is showcased in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games. So Revavroom gets a little bit more brownie points with me personally. Again, this is my list. This is a me personally type of thing. I like Revavroom. I think he's a cute little guy doing something good for the game here. Next up, we have Orthworm, also known as the Alaskan Bullworm, for those of you who saw that video. I'm not the biggest fan. He's a good C. He's not doing anything crazy. He's just like this gen's Steel Onyx, if that makes any sense. He's not doing anything other than standing there and taking some big hits. Come on, folks. Come on. Family of 3 and Family of 4. It's the same Pokemon. I'll put the Family of 4 there. They're just the cutest little fuckers you've ever seen. Like, right? They're just so good. I'm going to put the Family of 3 down here. But, come on. Easy S. So cute. Next up, we have Seatottle and Seatitan. I'm going to put Seatottle at A and Seatitan at B. I think they could have done something a little bit better with Seatottle. It's so cute. Maybe this is a little bit biased for me. Look at all the cute Pokemon that I got up top. I mean, come on. You really can't beat them. Now, as a Pokemon itself, I think Frigibax, Arctibax, and Baxcalibur are all fine. But they're the pseudo-legendary of this Pokemon game. So they're expected to do a little bit more than what they're doing. I'm putting this gen's pseudo-legendaries at D tier, folks. For pseudo-legendaries, they just need to be doing a little bit more for me, and they're not. They're not. Compared to, like, Salamence, right? Hydreigon. Who else do we got? Tyranitar, Dragonite. These guys just aren't up to par, folks, and that's why they're getting the D tier from me. All right, folks. Tatsugiri. This guy and Dondozo kind of go hand in hand. However, I do like Tatsugiri a lot, so I think I'm going to put it in a B. It's a solid B tier. It's arguably getting knocked down a peg because of Dondozo, how it affiliates himself with that. He would be A tier if he had nothing to do with Dondozo, but I like Tatsugiri a lot, so B tier seems fair. Cyclizar, I like as a Pokemon a lot. However, it's kind of a tragedy what they did to kind of hint that Cyclizar and the legendaries Koraidon and Miraidon, it seemed like it was gonna be an evolutionary line, and then it just wasn't. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but I still think it's a good Pokemon, so I think C is fair here. Also, for how early you can get this Pokemon in the game, and it has like a base stat total of over 500, I'm pretty sure, that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna put it in the B tier as well, folks. Pawmi had my heart. I saw him in the opening, or not the opening trailer, but one of the early on trailers, folks, and he had my heart. I loved this guy. I loved him, I really did. But then comes along Pawmo. I'm like, okay, maybe they can do something here, right? Maybe it can do something. He kind of just stood up, nothing else really happened. Maybe they can redeem it a little bit. And then we got this guy. Pawmot, whatever the fuck. What are we doing here? What are we doing? I'm going to give it a D tier because of its signature move, Revival Blessing, which is going to completely destroy competitive Pokemon, by the way. But what are we doing here? We're taking something so great, and we're destroying it, Game Freak. Make it stop. Next up, we have Wattrel and Kilowattrel. Not too fond of these guys either. The fact that it's an electric flying, which I actually think is a very strong competitive typing, is not bad. It's not my favorite. Its typing, I think, for incorporating flying is very good. However, in a world where we're living in, where terrestrialization is a thing, I think that doesn't really help its case very much. I'm putting the bird of this generation at a solid C tier. Bombardier, this is like just a stork Pokemon. I don't really understand what we're trying to do here, folks. It's not bringing anything exciting to the game, and for that reason, I think it's just going to go into a C tier. I'm not going to rank the different colors for Squawkabilly, but I will just rank it as a Pokemon itself. Squawkabilly is a fun little character. I like his little wig that he's got going on for him. I don't hate him. I'm not mad about this Pokemon. I'm going to put it at A. Next up, we have Flamigo, folks. Another one of those offshoot characters that doesn't evolve, but it's got good base stats, and you can get one pretty early on. I'm not mad about this one, folks. I think this is a good B tier Pokemon. I'm not mad about it here. And then we have Cloth. Now, what is this thing trying to do? It was one of the Titan Pokemons, sure, that gave it a little bit of significance in the game, but we've already got Crab Pokemon, we've got Lobster Pokemon, we've already hit that column for the types of Pokemon that we need to create, and adding it as a rock type doesn't help its case even a little bit, actually. I think C, actually D, is a good rating for Cloth. Moving on, we have one of my favorite lines from this game, folks. Nacli, I think, is good. It's a cute rock Pokemon. One of the very first that you get. It's better than Geodude, I'll tell you that much right now, folks. Knacklestack. What are we doing here? Are we playing Pokemon or Minecraft right now, folks? Also a good addition, A tier. And then we have Garganacl. Bravo, Game Freak. Bravo. I love what we're doing here. This is amazing. This is how we evolve. This is how we evolve. Not like Pawmi, Pawmo, Pamwat. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. Garganacl is how we do it. Very well done here. Now, I don't think we've ever actually had a rock poison type, but here we have Glimmet and Glimmora, and I like these guys. I think Glimmet is a good B, and I think Glimmora is a good A. Shroodle and Grafaiai. I feel like there was so much potential here. Shroodle, I'm not very partial, but Grafaiai, I feel like there was so much potential here, and they crushed it by not giving it another evolution. Destroyed him. Look how they massacred this boy. It's awful. It's awful, the dishonor that was done to Grafaiai. But it's still a good Pokemon. I'm going to put it at A. Next up, folks, two of the best additions to the game. Fido and Daxbun. They're awesome. They're so cool. They're so cool. Again, they're the cute little guys, and they're made of bread. They're dogs that are made of bread. Two things that humans love. How can you not put that in S tier? Moving on, we have Mastiff and Mabostiff. Mastiff, cute little guy. Like what he's doing to the game. A tier. Mabostiff, S tier. And for those of you that have not finished the Titan story in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I encourage you to do so, because that is the entire reasoning for me putting Mabostiff at S tier. Moving on, we have Bramblin and Bramblegast. I don't really care for these guys. They're literal tumbleweeds. They're not really doing anything here. They're getting the D tier for me, personally. Moving on, we have Gimmighoul, roaming form, and chest form. I think the roaming form looks a little silly. I'll admit, looks a little silly. I'm going to put it at C. And I think the chest form is very good. It's almost like a mimic. I think that's a fun addition to the game. I'm giving it a B. And then we have the evolution Gholdengo, which I like. Its stats are kind of insane, and it has one of the best abilities in the game. I will also put it at B. The design is just a little silly, in my opinion. Everything else about it is perfect. Arguably perfect. Moving on, showing Gen 2 some more love, we have Great Tusk, and I love this thing. I'm putting it in my S tier. It's just very interesting. I like this spin-off on Donphan more so than, what is this guy called? Iron Treads? Iron Tails? Iron Treads, okay. I don't love Iron Treads as much as the older version, or the older counterpart, I should say. I'm putting Iron Treads in the D tier. Actually, that seems a little harsh. I'll put it in the C tier. Seems a little harsh to put it in D. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily like what it's doing here either. Moving on, we have Brute Bonnet, and in my opinion, more is less. Amoonguss is better than Brute Bonnet. I think Amoonguss is an A tier Pokemon, so I'm going to put Brute Bonnet in the B tier. Moving on, we have Sandy Shocks, and I actually do like this addition. I am a Sandy Shocks fan, so I think we'll put him in the A tier. Come on, this is just Jigglypuff with hair. This is just Jigglypuff with hair. It seems lazy, but I like it a lot, actually. So I'm going to put it in B. It's a lazy idea, but it's kind of one that works. So actually, I think that justifies an A. And again, we have Fluttermane, and this is just Mischievous, but with different hair. It's not even new hair, it's just different. I'm not a big fan here, folks. I'm going to put it in the C tier. I'm actually going to put it in the D tier now that I'm thinking about it. Moving on, we have Slitherwing, and it's a fine Pokemon. It's fine. But if we're all just being honest with ourselves here, Volcarona is just better. So I think this is also another fine baseline Pokemon. We'll give it a C. Moving on, folks, Roaring Moon. It's badass. It just looks cool. Come on, S tier. In here, Volcarona, but cooler. Cooler. Volcarona. It's got, like, blades as wings. How can you not like that? Hariyama, I've never been too fond of as a Pokemon to begin with. And Iron Hands, I don't think is helping here. I think this is an F tier Pokemon, folks. Iron Jugulis? I don't know how to pronounce it. It doesn't look much different from Hydreigon. So I'm going to give it an S tier because Hydreigon is an S tier Pokemon. I do think Game Freak was a little bit lazy here, though. It doesn't really do anything. It's got new types, sure. Yeah, I think it's an A. It's an A tier. It's a good Pokemon. Next up, we have the Tyranitar offshoot Jotty looking fella, Iron Thorns. Don't hate it. Again, that's just a B. That's not. I don't hate it. It's a little bit better than average, I would say. Iron Bundle, folks. This is biased. This is a totally biased ranking because of my love for Shady Penguin. So Iron Bundle's getting an S tier. Iron Valiant is just cooler Gallade. S tier. Absolutely killed it. I apologize if I'm about to butcher some of these names. We have Ting Lu. I don't hate it. B tier. I don't love it. Don't hate it, don't love it. However, Chien Pao is my favorite legendary in the game. Best one. Best one. Look at it. It's got knives or swords for teeth, and it's a cat ferret Pokemon. It's almost impeccable. Moving on, we have Wo-Chien, and I don't hate the design. I'm not a particular fan, though, and when I was playing my playthrough for the game, this thing took over 45 minutes for me to catch. So I'm just going to put it in the D tier because it caused me some troubles. Moving on, we have Chi-Yu, and this is like a fire fish. It's so cool. Chi-Yu is a very cool looking Pokemon. I'm putting it in S tier. Koraidon and Miraidon, folks. This is the one I feel most of us have been waiting for. Koraidon is an easy S. Miraidon is a hard S. It is a hard S. Koraidon, I think, is infinitely cooler than Miraidon, but Miraidon is also very, very well done. So, for that reason, they're both getting S. Moving on, folks. My favorite Pokemon, Tinkaton. Tinkaton is S. He's the best of the best here. I love Tinkaton with my entire heart. Tinkatink, it's fine. I think it encaptures how Pokemon evolution should go. Kind of in the same sense that, who was it? Who did I rank that way? Garganacl, in the sense that that goes. It starts off as a little kid with a hammer, turns into a teenager with a medium hammer, and then bang! Tinkaton knocks it out of the park. Come on now. Next up, we have another just goated line of Pokemon. Charcadet, Armarouge, and Cerulege. All easy S's. The Game Freak just knocked these Pokemon out of the park. They are just so well done, and they have great stats, they're super strong, and their design is badass. Easy S tier. Moving on, I think Toadschool is a very funny addition to the Pokemon games, as well as Toadscruel. I really, really like what they did with this generation. They added almost a sense of comedy to the game, with all of the names, with the gym leaders, and all of that. But not to the point where it's annoying, and I think Toadschool and Toadscruel do a good job of that. They're just goofy, funny-looking Pokemon. Moving on, King Gambit. Easy S tier here, folks. Easy S tier. It looks awesome. I don't think as cool as Bisharp, but it's on the same level as Bisharp, so it's an easy S tier. Next up, we have Pooper and Clodsire. I mean, one, how can you not love Wooper? If any of you watch Small Ant, you already love Wooper. But this just does such a good job at making Wooper even cooler, in my opinion, personally. I think Clodsire is cooler than Quagsire. That much I will say. And Pooper is just a very cute little guy as well. So easy S tier. Next up, we have Annihilate. we are going to put Annihilate in the A tier, I think. I think it is a very, 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 very cool Pokemon. I don't think it is up to par with some of these other Pokemon that I have up here, though. Annihilate is solid as solid gets, though. He's not as great as great gets, but he's solid. And this list actually does not have Paldean Tauros, but I would put Paldean Tauros in the A tier. I think that's fair. Paldean Tauros is very well done. All of the styles, fighting, water, and just the fire type as well. I think they're all very well done. But yeah, right here, we'll put the full list on the screen. Tell me what you guys think of my list. I would love to hear about your guys' lists in the comments as well. You can go ahead and say if you think I messed some stuff up or if you think I nailed this list out of the park. Please let me know. Subscribe if you're new, like, all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one.